Hello and welcome to Econ with Wes. There is an economic assumption that consumers behave rationally in order to maximize their benefit. However, modern day behavioral economists argue that this isn't always the case. In this video, we are going to explore some of the reasons why modern day behavioral economists argue consumers are not always behaving in a rational way. There is an economic assumption that consumers behave rationally and aim to maximize their benefit. However, modern day behavioral economists argue that this is not always the case. So let's explore some of the reasons why modern day behavioral economists argue that consumers do not always behave in a rational way. One of the reasons is because of imperfect or incomplete information. A good example of this is going back to the 1920s, 30s, 40s, when tobacco industries actually really misguided consumers. They gave imperfect or incomplete information about the impact that cigarettes and tobacco has on human bodies. They advertised smoking as being soothing and relaxing and fashionable and even good for your heart. Some advertisements involved doctors as well, talking about how smoking is good for you. This is one reason why consumers don't always behave rationally in order to maximize their benefit, because they just don't have all of the information to hand. We can also think about consumers in developing economies here, where education isn't so prominent, where there's not so much education. So even when we think about soft drinks such as Coca-Cola, for an example, it could be that consumers in developing economies are not aware of the harmful impacts of drinking sugary soft drinks. Also, there's the limited ability. The consumers are not always good at calculating their costs and benefits. And this might be that they're just not aware, going back to imperfect information. But if we look at some of the points to come, it could also be that there's a lack of ability because human beings have so many emotions to deal with, okay? Human beings, when we are stressed, when we are tired, when we are feeling emotional, we don't always make the most rational decision. If we've had a really tough day, it might be that in the evening we decide to eat some chocolate or some dessert, something to cheer us up in the short term. And we know that's going to give us short-term gratification. That's going to give us a dopamine hit in the short run. However, eating sugary products such as chocolate and sweets and desserts, ice cream, etc., we know that's going to have a negative impact in the long run. Also, consumers have an inability to make rational decisions because of a lack of time. Modern day life can be very busy. There's so many demands put upon us. So it could just be that we don't have the time to sit down and make a rational decision. It could be that we're just going to eat on the go. If we don't have much time to think about preparing a healthy food and going shopping for the ingredients and making a healthy meal, it might be that we just order a takeaway that's full of salt and can be quite oily instead, which obviously isn't going to be a rational decision. It's going to be irrational because obviously it's not going to maximize consumers' benefit. Also, consumers don't always behave in a rational way because of bad habits. Now, bad habits are difficult to break. It takes time to break from a bad habit, and that goes in hand with addiction, because products such as sugary goods, alcohol, tobacco, they can be highly addictive. So consumers continue to consume these products, but as a result of that, they're not maximizing their benefit. They're acting irrational as opposed to being rational. Power of advertising and social media is another reason why humans do not always act rationally. Advertising can be very powerful. Social media influence, you've got your influencers that lots of people follow. And let's think about advertising now. Advertising and marketing, promotional activity, advertising firms are very good at understanding the psychology of consumers in order to sort of convince and persuade consumers to buy products that don't always maximize their benefit. Herd behavior. So sometimes consumers copy others' behavior, e.g., buying fashionable brands rather than making independent, rational decisions. Now, there is nothing wrong at all with buying fashionable brands if it helps to maximize your benefit. But for some consumers on lower incomes, it could be that buying fashionable brands in order to, because they're copying other people's behavior, it's going to be problematic if somebody on a lower income is spending a large percentage of their income on designer products, on fashionable brands, if it means that they don't have enough disposable income left in order to buy the necessity products that they need in order to maximize their benefit. Okay. And also peer pressure, social situations, when it could be that somebody is in a situation where they want to make a rational decision to not drink alcohol, for an example. But it could be that the people around them are drinking alcohol and they are putting pressure upon the person that's decided to be rational by trying to pressure them into making a more irrational decision by drinking alcohol. I hope you enjoyed and found that video interesting. So that video was about why human beings do not always act in a rational manner, why sometimes they do act irrationally. If you enjoyed that video, please like and subscribe. Look out for future content videos, and thank you very much for watching.